Alright, so, stop motion tutorial. A few of you guys have been asking me to do this, so I'm just gonna be showing you guys how to do it today. Hopefully, you guys will learn a few things and, maybe you can start doing stop motion yourself. So yeah, I'm just gonna be sharing some of my tips and tricks and generally just how to do stop motion. So, yeah, let's get into it. So obviously the first thing you are going to need is a stop motion app. So what I have is Stop Motion Studio Pro. You can get really any app you want. This is just the one I use because it's easy. So you can go ahead and open it up. So we're going to start a new project. You know, pick your quality or whatever, get your FPS right, do whatever you need to set up, and then set up your camera. So I'm going to be setting up mine today on this LEGO stand. This is very easy to make, as you can see. So all you need to do is just get a platform. I raised it up a little bit, so when the lens is right here, it's facing this way, which is eye level, basically, with the minifigures. That's what I would recommend. You don't have to do that. That's pretty much it. It's not that fancy at all. And then just set up your camera. So I'm going to be setting up mine like this, and try to get your subject or whatever, which mine is a minifigure, right here. And then you're pretty much ready. A couple things. In order to do stop motion, you're going to need a couple things, probably. You need stick attack, so something like this that's like stretchy, so that the minifigure can like balance and stuff. Another thing you need maybe is a stick to hold them up, like a clear stick. You can mask if you want to. I'm not going to. Masking is just a whole different subject, so I'm just going to be using a clear stick, which is probably what, you know, beginners will use. Another thing I recommend getting is a way that you can take pictures without touching your phone. So I got this for Christmas. It's not fancy or anything. It's just a little button you press to take a picture. It's like Bluetooth. It's very simple, very easy, and it works really great. Alright, so next thing you need to do is get your lighting right. There's this thing called 3-point lighting. So that means basically that you have 3 lights. One's the main character light. This one is the background light, kind of. This one's kind of the background light, but also a little bit on the character too. So I think we'll just be doing this right now. And then, yeah, I think we're ready to go. Okay, so as we animate, we're going to go through a few basic principles that will help you with your animation. A lot of the things that beginners struggle with is timing. A lot of beginners think that in order to have good stop motions, you have to have smooth, you know, animations, which isn't true, because there's a lot of people out there that use 8 FPS and still have great animations, and you're like, why is that? It's because of one thing, and that thing is timing. In order to make your stop motions great, you have to have great timing. So I recommend sticking with one type of FPS and not, you know, messing around with like 5 different types. Because if you start out just doing just one type of FPS, like 12 FPS, and you just do that for a while, you'll get really good at it. Once you get more advanced though, that's when you can start, you know, expanding yourself and trying to learn more and stuff. Yeah, we're gonna be doing 12 FPS on in this tutorial. So basically, what we're just gonna make Miles Morales do is maybe just like wave. So lift his hand in a wave, just something really basic, just to start out with. We're gonna start out with some pictures, just for a still shot at the beginning, and then we're gonna lift his hand. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna move it a little bit. Oops, I just moved my camera. That's just exactly what I'm talking about. So what we're going to do is we're just going to move his hand. So we're going to move it a little bit up. And this is called easing in and easing out. So what I mean by that is when you're making a movement and you want to replicate human movements or realistic movements, you're going to ease in and ease out. So that basically means at the start of the motion, say my hand is going up. At the beginning, your hand is going to be moving a little bit. You're going to be moving a little bit, and then a lot, and then a little bit. If you want to make a quicker movement, then do less frames. If you want to make a slower movement, do more frames. So we moved his hand a little bit, and then we're going to move it right here. And that's what I mean by easing in and easing out. You need to move it a little bit, and then a lot, and then a little bit. We're going to move it right there. Still easing out right now, and then a little bit. So here's his hand going up, and as you can see, it's pretty smooth. If you want to make it faster, like I added an extra frame right here, you can just take that away. So if we delete that, watch what happens. It's faster. Sometimes you'll be wanting to make a slower movement, sometimes you want to be making a faster movement. It all depends on what you want, but when you're beginning, you're going to need to experiment. His hand is going to go back down, so the same thing, just a little bit. Picture. And then a lot, it's right here. And then a little bit. So another thing is I'm doing 12 FPS. So if you were doing 15 FPS, you would be wanting to do more pictures, because the higher the FPS is, the faster it's going to be. So if you want to make this a slow movement in 15 FPS, you're going to need to add way more pictures than you would in 12 FPS, if that makes sense. And with 8 FPS, some of these principles are just completely ignored because of how stinking slow it is. So I would not suggest starting out in 8 FPS. I would suggest maybe 15 or 12. And so also another thing you will need to learn is a walk cycle. So I have a very basic walk cycle for 15 and 12 FPS. For 12 FPS it'll be a little slower, but for 15 it'll look great. So let's move on to that right now. So first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna start out with just a blank picture again. Usually you need to start out with just a still shot, and then what you're gonna need to do is you're gonna need to move 1 foot, just like this, and then make his head, as you can see at the top, make his head dip down a little bit, not too much, because if you do it too much then it'll look a little jumpy. And as his leg moves forward, the opposite hand will move with the leg just a little bit, and the same hand that's on the side of the leg will move back a little bit, not too much, just like that. And then take a picture, and you can watch that. Another key thing to do while you're animating is to always watch back your footage so that you can feel out the next movement. So that is very critical, especially when you're doing it on a phone. So the next movement is kind of tricky. So what you'll be needing for this is a little bit of sticky tack, as you can see right here. Not a lot, just a little bit, just for one of the legs. What we're gonna do is we're gonna take our minifigure and we're gonna put it on this leg right here. And what you need to do is you need to move this foot back a little bit and this foot right here. You can already see it just in the middle of his walk. And then obviously again, move this hand out a little bit and this hand out a little bit, just in the same direction. So yeah, just make him going up, not too much lean forward, not back, but just straight up. And then we could take a picture there. There we go. So as you can see, it's already turned out really well. And then the next frame, what you're gonna need to do is, you don't even really need to take your minifigure off again. So what you're gonna need to do is put your finger under his leg and then straighten it out a bit. And then make him lower down on the stud right here. Just a tiny bit, still with that sticky tack in the back. Keep his arms where they are. And make sure his head is a little bit in front of the last frame. So as you can see, his leg goes down, his hands don't move, and he moves a little bit forward. So now we can take another picture, and we can watch that back. And so now he's ready for his foot to land on the ground. So what we're gonna do is we're just gonna take out the stick attack, put him right back where his foot was landing, just like that. And now make his hands go back in a little bit. So just towards being straight at his side. And then make him lean back a little bit, so his head is still in the same direction. Now we have that frame ready, so we'll take the picture. And so now we can watch that back again. And now he's ready for just standing up. So that frame looks good, so we'll take a picture. And we'll watch that back. So there it is. If you just took one step, then you're done. But if he's continuing on, then move the other foot. So this time we're gonna do this one, and then make his hands come out a little bit. Obviously the opposite one goes out, and the one on the same side goes back. And then make him lean forward a teensy bit, and then watch it back again just to make sure it's all good. So that looks great so far. So then we'll just repeat the steps just backwards. So there is your walk cycle, just a very basic one for 12 FPS or 15 FPS. So those are just some beginner tips. If you want to know more, I can make a different video, maybe more advanced maybe, because this was very, very basic. So please let me know what you thought in the comments, any questions or just anything else. Yeah, and also please leave a like, and if you're not subscribed, please subscribe, because as you can see this statistic on the screen, a lot of you are not subscribed. So please subscribe, because if you want to keep watching my videos and you're not subscribed, then you will not get notified. So please subscribe and turn on the bell. And yeah, thanks for watching, guys. I will see you next time. Bye.